and welcome to Star Trek Las Vegas. I am your unofficial host for STLV 2019, and I am here with Fred and Rocky, and we are here to show you another Discovery panel. And this Discovery panel has a couple Klingons and the Admiral, so I'm really looking forward to hearing what they have to say. Shall we get to it?
Kapla.
Kapla! See you soon.
We are back, and man, boy, has a lot happened since we were back on the stage together. I mean, truly. Like when you heard, okay, whether you read first or you heard it first, like how did you hear what was going to be happening at the end of the second season of Discovery? Like how did you hear, like, so yeah, this like goes off at 930 years into the future. Like, how did you hear this?
Good question. I think there were rumors, vague rumors about the future, but but we didn't know anything specific. I mean, we kind of knew vague rumors months in advance, but
you don't really know those specifics until you're getting that script or whatever it is, and it was definitely a leap.
Big.
I mean, I knew early. When I was pitched Cold Shot to play, I remember them talking about that they were thinking about launching into the future, and I just had this image of all of the cast members just like trying to grab onto the ship so they could be on the show in season 3.
Well, there was obviously a lot of conclusions, especially for you, but. Up to that point, though, it was really a very different show. It evolved from season 1. There was a lot more levity, a lot more fun, a lot more energy, a lot more at stake, a lot. But what was it going from season 1 to season 2 for each of you? Like, what were the immediate differences you noticed that just when you came back for season 2, because there were so many changes in the story? Like, what was the first thing you felt when you came back to the set, Jayne?
Well, there was the whole Section 31. That's when my character came back. I'm hoarse from like screaming yesterday.
Jayne was out.
Oh, I shouldn't say scream. So there was that whole massive Section 31 ship and that whole story and the questions of what the relationship with Section 31 would be, and so that was an expansion of the storyline. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. I'm trying to think, the thing obviously on my mind is where the whole season ended. I'm trying to think what else I could mention that was really brand new.
Anson Mount. Anson Mount.
It was new, Anson, yeah.
Oh, well, no, what I mean was, well, of course, we have a new captain, we have everything. I mean, we have Spock, it was huge.
But I feel energetically.
I thought you meant like, particularly to the first time you show up on the set.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I think what was, a big difference anytime you're coming back to something is you're coming back, and, we'd spent a year, more than a year. The show was going to come out when we first met. The show hadn't aired at all, and so I had this whole kind of journey with the first season, learning about the characters. Like, you learn about them as the plot is unfolding and it's happening on set. Then you watch it, you see how that unfolds, and we're as we've become known as, the Discovery cast is extremely close. We're a bunch of goofy geeks that are thrilled to be a part of this story, and so we have viewing parties, and there was so much that happened during filming, but then sort of those of us in LA would get together as much as possible and watch the show, and so there was a real community there, and so I really felt we were both so eager and thrilled to come back in episode 3, and of course it was such a thrill to have Ken back as Kolsha, which was like so perfect. And I was saying earlier, we had our Klingon family photo earlier with Shazad. I was saying how those two are two of the biggest goofballs I know, and I'm not supposed to laugh in my prosthetic, And so James McKinnon was constantly yelling at me during episode 3 because as intense as all of the plot was, that was the intensity of the silliness going on between takes, because you'd be doing like Coleshaw as like creepy Santa and like also, what do you want for Christmas?
Now they all want to
boy?
see creepy Santa.
Uh-oh, it's not a panel.
Here we come.
Ken doesn't speak in Klingon.
Do it!
Do it. No. Usually he does it on his own volition. There we go.
No pressure.
Can you feel it? The paralysis is spreading to your organs. But I will not let you suffocate until you've signed. Now pass me your pretty little finger. I have laced your seats with sensor implants, a listening device. I've heard every single word since you've sat down. You think Shazad is handsome? Well, wait until you've seen his bare nipple. It is not pretty. And the two of you trying to decide who makes for a better captain. Ensign Mount is Captain Pike. Michelle Yeoh as Captain Giorgio, or Jason Isaacs as Captain Lorca. Let me tell you this. Wait until you meet Prime Lorca.
My favorite movie is Harry Potter. My second favorite movie is the 2003 rendition of Peter Pan. I just love Hook. Oh, Tanavik's on the other line. Hello, Tanavik.
I didn't know what I had unlocked.
Time stands still for those that protect the crystals. The past, the present, the future are all equal in their presence.
Oh, Tanavik, I just love your hair. It reminds me of Lucius
Just hold on a fucking second. I was speaking to Prime Lorca around there, and he said, "Don't do that." So move up. I'm sitting back there listening to this shit. Okay, he's bullshit.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Isaacs, the captain, is on the bridge.
You're just waiting for them to break in. You're just going to keep going till they broke in.
Oh, I had more. Well,
You go for hours.
we'll save it for next
We
week.
spent whole weekends. I just go and I just sit there and I just listen. We don't
That's what we were doing.
Kick us out.
Well, Jason, what was seeing season 2 unfold like for you? Like,
It sucked. What are you talking about? Somebody's sitting in my chair, and he's very handsome. He's a good actor, and honestly, I was completely carried away by season 2 because I didn't constantly have these interruptions where I thought, oh, fuck, hold your stomach in, or whatever. I don't need to be self-conscious about myself or my accent or whether they cover my ball patch. It was just I could enjoy the stories. I thought they were so emotional. And so human, and it had all the Star Trek fantasy stuff that you would hope for. But I was completely gripped by the characters, apart from these two who I thought were crap.
What about the end? Like when you watch the season finale?
Well, no, most of the time I'm just watching thinking, where and how is Prime Lorca going to make his re-entry? And now it's even more challenging.
Yeah, now what do you think?
But frankly, it's Star Trek. If you could live in a speck that floats through something, and Wilson would have his neck broken and be dancing around like he's just arrived from the gym in the next episode, then there's no reason why Prime Lorca can't make a reappearance with a false voice. I honestly thought it was brilliant. I thought the series was completely brilliant, and I thought, I'm being honest now because we're with family here, I thought I might not be that interested in watching it once I wasn't in it. And it wasn't just a joy of watching my friends, I thought they were all superb and the stories were brilliantly told.
Well, bravo to that. And by the way, if you're wondering how Prime Lorca, it might return or listen, lest we forget, Spock died and it brought it back to life. So anything is possible in the world of Star Trek. But L'Rell, season 2 we see she's really vulnerable, she's really evolved.
She has hair.
She has hair.
That was good. I was like, there was a big aesthetic difference that I noticed right away.
Well, what was the, how did you sort of, your point of connection to make her, I guess, for about lack of a better word, more human?
Yeah, Klingonity is the term I'm coining. Klingonity. I've spoken to how there was this visual and then kind of this metaphor of letting her hair down, and I really love this sort of archetypal divine feminine. Queen Elizabeth was a huge source of inspiration for me, just in the sense of, and what you see in I love the film Elizabeth, and just the sort of, You May Call Me Mother was her becoming the Virgin Queen, this evolution, and I really love that we got to, chart that a bit, at the beginning, and then at the end of the season when you meet her again, she's got her hair back, and she's embodying this archetype in order to be a good leader. So while she is gaining and has larger power within the Empire, she is, conversely quite vulnerable in her own life and having to cut off a lot. It was not a light comedy for me this year. Not that it was last year. But I really appreciated that we got to take this this female leader and see her in some intimate moments, but then also explore the real kind of juxtaposition of that.
This is the first season of basically all the shows, with the exception of the original. All the shows, they had to find their way. And first season, you could feel them finding their way. You feel like second, third season that things gel, that everyone starts to get comfortable with their characters, and shows hit their stride. And I feel like in season 2, Disco, I keep calling it Disco.
You know who's sitting at the couch here, Scott? I was reminding you, I'm only in the first season.
I know you are, but that doesn't mean you won't return, But I feel like what kind of confidence did you feel, behind the scenes, working with the writers, the producers, the fellow cast members, and just the confidence that everyone brought to the second season?
Well, practically, I was confident in asking for what I needed when it came to prosthetics, and just luckily I was in not as restrictive armor this time, so I was a little bit more. The first day I had that copper dress, I remember going to shop and being like, I can lift my arms! And it was very exciting. Still, the Klingons tend to have a lot of flames going on, so the set is generally hotter than most. And so in between takes, we have those wooden, I don't know the term, where they had for Frankenstein and women in 30s movies that couldn't wrinkle their dresses. So I'm kind of a mixture of that. And so I would get up propped up, and I knew this season, because you can't take your hands off like you do, between every take, because it's just too elaborate. But that's a central force of overheating, so I knew to ask for ice packs between takes. Sometimes I would just hold it between takes, and then if I did have a 15-minute break in a new shot setup or something, we'd get up there, have an ice pack on each wrist. I had a fan. When I had my cleavage, I'd put the fan in the cleavage and just,
She would fall asleep a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I love taking selfies.
yeah.
Of like me pretending to pick her nose.
Yeah. We've got a whole collection of Cole shopping.
I'll put them online for you.
Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest, because I never want to ask for anything because I don't want to get in trouble and I don't want to be, a brat or anything like that. So I was just a little more emboldened to just be like, hey, this is what I need. It's not too much, just an ice pack.
Not for you, Jayne.
I actually noticed from the beginning, from the first season, what an incredible family that cast of actors is. I mean, if any of you saw the Bridge Crew panel just a little while ago, that that love and camaraderie that we have together extends to the whole cast. And so I suppose in the second season, that just is more solidified. Because when you've experienced a little bit of success and they know that the show is solid and beloved, it just makes them. But I noticed from the beginning what nice, down-to-earth people and such a family atmosphere on that set.
Kenneth, you've now been able to contribute in a few ways. And what has it been like for you? I mean, it's only the second season, and you've now been able to contribute so much.
I mean, first of all, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to play all these different characters in this, wonderful environment. Yeah, it's nice to delve into different characters. It's nice to play around. Playing characters that you get to hide behind a mask, you kind of get to be free, and I love that aspect of it. And I would love to be able to play more characters because I wanna go after Jeffrey Combs. Yeah. I think he needs to be taken down. So let's do this.
There have been a lot of surprises across both seasons now, especially looking at the end of each season and the end of season 2. But Jason, the season 1 surprise, with Lorca, who he really was. I swear to God, I did not see that coming, and I wonder at what point did you see that coming? Did you know from the beginning that Lorca was not from our universe?
Yeah. The thing that the actors really love having is a secret. It's the best thing you can ever have on screen or on stage. And so they first offered me the job, and they said he's going to be, spoiler alert, anyone who's not seen it, what the fuck are you doing, kid? Anyway, he's from the mirror world, and I said, and what's the story? What does he want to do? Does he wants to go back there? And they said, well, it's one of, and they laid out 10 options, and I went, I can't play that. I need to know what he wants to do. Does he want to go back there? Does he want to bring his troops here? Does he want to go back and take control? And they went, yeah, one of those things, definitely. And so there was a week during which I wasn't going to do the job. And then they regrouped, and I had this group Skype with everybody, and they said, listen, thanks so much for this question, a very intelligent question, wonderful question. So I went, that's very sweet of you. I don't need flattery, I need answers, because I just don't know how to play a vague secret. I need a plan. And they said, well, we decided that it is definitely that you want to get back to the mirror world, either with Burnham or without her, maybe because she was your partner there or not, or maybe bring your troops here. And I went, I'm sorry? And then Akiva Goldsman was one of the executives, and leaned forward right into the Skype. I mean, huge dermatological close-up, and he went, we have no fucking idea, okay? But I swear to God, before we start shooting, we will have an answer, and it'll be part of the discussion. And I went, oh, that sounds good. So I knew the whole secret, but let me just rewind a second with my little personal time machine and say that it is true that lots of the Star Trek series had teething problems or found their way in, but they were all episodic. So they're different writers for different episodes and stuff. And the difference, I think, with this show is the entire arc. Obviously, I would defend season 1 as being more fully formed than other season 1s.
I would agree.
But I think it was because Brian Fuller had come on before, and mapped out a single story. And it's, what made it so different from all the other Star Treks is it was a single story. We were expecting, and we got, a lot of resistance, a lot of kind of trepidation from all of you guys and the rest of the Trek community around the world. They went, listen, this stuff is precious to us, and we care, and we've seen a couple of leaked designs and stuff, and there was, a tremendous amount of if not negativity, then certainly wariness. And I remember, I think René Oceanwar sent a group email to him, Michael, anyway, he photocopied the front cover of a newspaper that was like, second season of Star Trek Generation going, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen, how dare they? They should all be taken out and shot slowly. And I was a little bit disappointed that really by episode 3, everybody realized that Star Trek Discovery was pretty damn good. And there was all the stuff online about who are these people who are writing it? Well, they're the ultimate uber geeks. In the room there, they would argue forever about canon, hard canon, soft canon. There's not meant to be a filthy double entendre. It's all and they really cared. And I think that everybody pretty soon realized that this is proper Trek, and it came from an honest and a place of reverence. And even the people who were furious that Lorca was doing these terrible things that the Federation would never allow, we all knew that eventually they would realize how right they were and that we couldn't share with them. So I refute your suggestion that season 1 found its feet. I thought we hit the ground running, and exactly what Jayne said, led by Sonequa, because she was the mother hen of the whole show. She made sure we all hung out, we all had dinners, we had games nights, and it's much more like a play than most films. You go to the same set every day with the same people, and we just, whether or not we'd had external validation, it felt like we were doing something right from the beginning.
I was just doing the Bridge Crew panel, and they were all weighing in on just like the positivity, the energy she brings. If you want to weigh in on her.
Well,
Should we weigh in on us? I'm just
later, right? I can't talk about Sonequa without crying. She's just the best. I actually can't.
Jingo!
Jayne.
Sonequa, I've said to her, because I've been around for a little while, and I said to her, Sonequa, I think you're the best #1 I've ever worked with. You are, she's just so real and kind and with such a big heart, and you need on a TV show, on a film you go in and you know you're going to be out, in a couple months, but a TV show, especially one that's going to go on for a while, if you don't have a great #1 who's going to pull you all together, it's not good. And she is just, I cannot say enough good things about her as a human being as well.
Actually, okay, I've gained a little bit more.
You got it.
But speaking to that, I was looking up, my last bit in the finale was the second to last day of filming, and first of all, she showed up at 3 a.m. when Shazad and I wrapped to clap us off, which was incredible. And then that next night, I had one day over, because I usually ask for a day to decompress from the prosthetics before I fly. And that was the very last day, and it was Jayne's last day.
And I told her, Sonequa, oh my God, you're moving out with a child and your husband tomorrow morning from the whole season. Thank you for reminding me of that. I said, you're leaving at like 9 a.m. and I'm not going to have my, final scene until about 3 in the morning. And she said, nope, I'm going to be there.
Yeah,
I'm going to be there.
It was incredible. And then I kind of came along, and we just, were there from 11 p.m. onwards. And she had been back and forth throughout the day, giving, presents to all the different departments and thanking everyone, and stuck around. And I'm so lucky that I've been able to witness so many moments like that with her, whether it be at conventions or on set. Just the fact that I get to witness that at this point in my career, and hope that I can aspire to be that, it's really, really heartening, and such a feminist and such a lifting, not just other women up, but just the entire crew. And yeah, it was just such an amazing moment, because we all got to be there together, totally exhausted, and totally supportive. I literally didn't sleep that night. She also then drove me back to my hotel that night. And then we kept talking, and then I basically showered, finished packing my bags, got picked up at 5 a.m., and then got on the plane with you and Rebecca Romaine, and we were like, well, here we are.
Just like a stalker.
She can stalk me any day. But yeah, it's really, really remarkable. It's not a persona. It is so genuine and so real. And Discovery is so lucky that she is our leader. And I said the visual metaphor of her as the Red Angel in that finale, that is her. Just guiding us towards a better future.
You were going to say something then.
From the moment I met Saniqua at the table read, she just takes you in. She takes you in with her eyes, with her love, with her hug, and with her spirit. And I also would say that extends to her husband, Kendrick.
Yes, yes.
Who's an amazing human being. They're actually a wonderful couple, and I think together they are such wonderful leaders for our show. We are blessed, all of us. I mean, all of us together as a family.
Jayne, I want to ask, you said 3 in the morning you shot that scene?
We shot it, I think it was...
Fraturday.
second
Is
to
it-
last.
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah, this is the thing, you want to tell me what Fraturday's on?
Fridays when during the week, the days get long, you know, they start later and end later every day until you're working all night Friday night. But I think I thought I'd be the last one out, but Anson, I think, had the very last shot in the elevator watching Cornwell, right?
Yeah, I think
We're trying to get... Yeah. So Anson was last man out, and I was second to last man out, yeah.
I think the torpedo technically got the very last shot. I think it was like, and there we go.
Last man.
Yeah. You're the last one.
What was your first impression when you saw the fate of Cornwall?
You know, what I so deeply appreciate, Cornwell was developed so beautifully over 2 seasons, and we got to see a leader who didn't, a true leader who didn't have to really push it so hard. She just was who she was. We saw all different facets of her, from the personal relationship with Lorca.
Saw quite a lot of her there, actually.
Do everything. But, so I appreciated the development of Cornwell, and I deeply appreciated the dignity that they gave her in bringing her storyline to a close. And I feel very honored that I played a character who could save the Enterprise. I mean, that's quite an honor. So they treated it with great tact and dignity.
But is she dead, Jayne? Is she dead? That's the question.
I've been asked that a million times, and I'm not a writer, but the writers are remarkably imaginative, so, you know, but she, as far as I know, yes.
I was saying my fanfic is that Laurel beat her out at the last second.
Well, let's talk about the writers.
So Laurel.
No, she's secretly just hanging out in the Klingon Empire.
I want to talk about the writers. I want to talk about Alex and Michelle and Akiva. I mean, like, they don't just have to have, like you pointed out, Jason, this being the first arc of a season, arc of a single story, but they now have Lower Decks and Picard.
I don't know how they keep it in their head.
How do they keep
I don't know how they do it.
it? I mean, but they clearly they have to, and the confidence in which they move forward working with you. So what's compared to other writer, producers, showrunners you work with, what makes them unique?
Well,
Akiva still has his ticket from the very first ever Star Trek convention in 1970 something. Like
72.
So, yeah, so these are dyed-in-the-wall Trekkies.
Well, I was going to say, case in point, our incredible co-showrunner, Michelle Paradise, is here supporting us today. She went out of her way as she is running this room.
There she is.
Stand up, Michelle. She's running around. Here comes Michelle Paradise, everybody.
As you're looking at I mean, she wrote the episode 9, the Arium episode, which I actually ended up hosting a viewing party in LA, and I was right next to Michelle, and I was bawling. And I was like, oh my gosh, Michelle, you're right next to me, and I'm like, but I thought that was so brilliantly crafted, and such an amazing way to bring us into a world and have us completely go on this ride. So I'm so thrilled that she is championing the show, even more so now. And but it's just exactly, everyone is so invested and really cares about telling a true and genuine story. And we do have, Bowie is also here, one of our amazing writers.
Yeah.
And
Writing section 31, so she really should be at home working.
But to have so many, we have such a diverse room in both life experiences, gender, sexual orientations, and and they're aware of that, and Alex is aware of that. That the more that you champion and put people in positions of power, to lift other people up. Like, that's what we have to do. And that is what I am so thrilled to be able to support and see. And I've spoken to this. This is, to be a part of Star Trek is to be a part of a platform that I believe in, and I don't have to rescind who I am. I don't have to get worried about what I post on Twitter when it comes to human rights and just championing truth, which is a crazy thing that we have to fight for. And so I just think that that's who our staff is. So I'm really, really proud to play any part of that.
So wait, Section 31, Prime Lorca. Just saying.
No, but I will say this about the fabulous writing in season 2 and in season 1, and what you'll see across all the Trek series. There's amazing tech available. There's amazing CG available now, and we've got the best costumes and all swooping cameras and giant budgets. But it's always driven by character, and as much as it is an incredibly powerful, progressive, political message of hope, about how we ought to be and how we might be, and the best version of ourselves, it's always in the best tradition of storytelling about human beings that we identify with in situations that we've never been in, but there are parallels in our own lives. And that absolutely shone through in season 2. I'm sure it will in the rest of the stuff too. But that's the hardest thing in the room. The easiest thing in the room is to come up with great plots. It's why this plot? What does it reveal about human beings, about who we are and who we might be? And that, I thought they pulled off and will continue to pull off because it's what they aspire to.
I want to take a few questions, but before I do, I just want to give a shout out. Ken, playing Carol Danvers' father, Captain Marvel. Yeah! Captain Marvel made over $1 billion worldwide, and you are...
All went to Ken.
It all went to Ken, so
and he knows that
hat. So just seriously...
Let's go to the roulette table.
What was it like just to be part of that universe?
It was another privilege to be a part of it. I was cast, the Sarah Finn, who cast all the Marvel movies, cast me in Miracle back in the day, and I played a hockey player.
Wait.
What?
Either you all clap or no one claps. That single clap, we're going to have to throw you a fish if you do that again. That was a miracle.
Let's redo this again. And there was this part to play a father who was from Boston in the 70s, and Sarah's like, I know the guy. So she called up and asked me if I do that. Obviously the answer is yeah. And it was really mostly special for me because I got to share it with my daughter, who's 12 years old, and I got to take her to the premiere. And I was just incredibly proud to be a part of it, and to be a part of a movie that had a female-centric superhero, much like our show, Trek Discovery.
Let's go over here. You have the con.
All right, I have the con. This question is for Jayne. I loved Chicago Hope. You were great on Boston Legal. You got a great opportunity to work with Renee. I'm not going to pronounce his last name on Boston Legal.
Auberginois.
So loved you in the past, but do you have any future plans working again with David E. Kelly?
I have no plans right at the moment, but I'll put it out on Twitter when I do.
Because I would love if you were in Big Little Lies and any of the other stuff David E. Kelly's doing.
Yeah, I would love me on Big Little Lies. That would be fun.
I support that 100%.
By the way, but Boston Legal, not just Renee, but Shatner.
I mean, I didn't work right opposite him. I was Renee's daughter, but yes, exactly.
I mean, to be, that's a generation.
That's very true.
Pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, over this side, yes.
Hello, thank you for coming. It's really a treat. This question is for Jayne. I really love Admiral Cornwell. I mean, I loved her strength, her compassion. I mean, she was just fantastic. She was my favorite character. And I hear a lot of talk about a Captain Pike series. I would like to see an Admiral Cornwell series. And, I was wondering what you think about that, and if you would consider doing anything like that.
Oh, you're not, I mean, playing Cornwell, I would love to play Cornwell. That sounds great. They might need to get someone for the years long ago when we were in the academy. Why need to get someone younger?
I don't know what you're talking about.
But yeah, that's so sweet of you, and that would be wonderful. Sure, of course. Yeah, thank you.
Now you're in a tough time. You've got to choose whether to be in Big Little Lies or the Admiral Corpses. What
I'm
are you
just
going
going
to
to have
do?
to work out the schedule.
You'll figure it out, all right? You'll figure it out. Can we get the spotlights on our panel, on our interviewers, so we can see who they're? There we go.
There we go.
Oh, welcome back.
Cool, you're picking your nose. Sorry.
Hi guys, my name's Morgan. It's good to see you all again. And I work for the public library, so I've been asking a lot of stars, what is one book you think everyone should read?
Well,
Just a
seven
book,
in
not
the
Star
series.
Trek book, right?
Yeah, there's 7 in the series I'm a big fan of. There's 7. They're all about this lovely wizard and this annoying little twatty boy that should die. It's all about a middle-aged man with long blonde hair.
You know, I have a funny answer. My mind goes blank when I think of all the... I'm such a bookworm. But I have a funny story about the book that I happened to pick up to read, to bring on the plane on the way to Las Vegas. It's a weird choice, but I picked up The Brothers Karamazov, Dostoevsky, so I'll just say that one. And as I'm reading it, you know, you read it as an adult rather than as a student when you're very young. I'm like, wow, this is a real page turner. This is fantastic. So I'll just put out that.
Mary the Chief.
Well, honestly, there's a 7-part series that is part of why I nearly had a nervous breakdown when I worked with Jason Isaacs, but we won't.
How about you?
I'll say Harry Potter.
I mean, currently right now
I was trying to break it up a bit.
I'm into kids' books, reading to my son and my daughter, and I love the series The Lemonade Wars. It's a really beautiful relationship between a brother and a sister. So I recommend that.
I'm just going to chime in on that answer because I meant to chime in before. There is a book, it's 25 years old, but it's relevant this year because it was the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. The book is called A Man on the Moon, and it is written by Andrew Chaikin, and it was the inspiration for the Tom Hanks miniseries From the Earth to the Moon. The book is called A Man on the Moon. It is an epic, amazing, really personal story of the entire Apollo program. And it is a page turner, and you will not be able to put it down. A Man on the Moon. Go to Amazon, buy it. You will not regret it. Thank you for the question. Back to this side.
Jason, Mary, Kenneth, Jayne, it's wonderful to have you all on the stage together. I have a question for the Admiral, if it's okay.
Absolutely, carry on.
Your final scenes with Rebecca and with Anson, and I just watched the finale literally just 4 days ago, finally, and when I watched them for the first time, it's like I felt tears streaming down my face, like I knew what was coming. I'm like, going, writers, what the hell are you doing? And so just what was it like for you when you got the script and after you read it and then to prepare for those scenes with Rebecca and with Anson, just how was it all to come to that?
Well, I mean, I think the writers had a big... One question that I feel, I didn't talk about this, but they must have asked themselves is, what the hell would we do with an admiral, you know, on the ship going forward? So when I read it, it made sense to me that they would find a way to bring this storyline to a close and do it in a very, like you said, very, you know, dignified way with great respect. So that was great. You know, it's always sad to leave a character that you've loved playing. I loved the fact that it was a woman who wasn't 22, who was strong, who had a history, who had many different colors to her. I think it's a great gift to the world to see women out there, because I don't think we do see enough women like that. I think the world is so focused so often. I have 2 beautiful young daughters. I love them. Women of all ages. It was nice. So that part was sad, but it was also nice to be treated well.
Great question. Back here.
Hello, my question is for Mary. And first, Jayne, just so you know, if you could hurry up and age, that would be awesome, because you were just
so sweet, thank you.
Gorgeous as you were in Chicago Hope. My other half has forgiven me for my crush on Admiral Cornwell.
Thank you.
Anyway, Mary, Michael Dorn said that he met you once, and he said that you're a total sweetheart, and I agree. But he said he pitied you, the hours of makeup, the process, that was inflicted upon you. He also said there was nothing of her, quote unquote, in the makeup. And I think I know what he meant by that, but I'm curious to know what your reaction is to that. Maybe Kenneth could weigh in on that.
Michael didn't give a fuck about how long Ken spent in makeup, obviously. His sympathy's all for Mary.
Well, Michael Dorn and I are both vegan Klingons, so that's a very particular bond. We were like, what? Oh my god, we're both Klingons. But in regards to that question, yeah, I did. He did say, oh my god, I came across the time lapse of your thing. My god, like what? And I was like, well, you played a Klingon for a very, very long time, so you definitely paid your dues. Yeah, I guess my interpretation of that is that certainly as the actor, I want to fully transform, and while something I say is that my characters, their heart and their soul is akin to mine, but the circumstances around them shape them in different ways, and even if I'm playing a human, that's true, but certainly to the extreme of literally looking in the mirror and having, even though it is more based off of my features than, say, Doug's makeup, there's still the general human features-ish. I do feel that when I'm embodying her essence, her voice is different, the way she moves is different. I don't want someone watching Laurel thinking about, oh, Mary's doing a good job. And it's actually this interesting thing, I've talked to Doug about this a lot, is if we're doing our job well as a creature actor, people are not going to have that same level of recognition. Like it's I don't want to call it a sacrifice, but it is something that you are giving yourself to this character in this way that it is so egoless. And that's something I deeply respect about Doug, because he has been doing this forever. And it's so wonderful as an artist in a lot of ways, because you're just getting to be lost in it. And like I was saying, me being with my ice packs and stuff, it's so isolating. Like I can't, as much as these guys try and make me laugh, like I can't move off in the same way. And I have to stay within the character. I can't eat. There's so many things that keep you from being in touch with your humanness when you're on set. And so it's a gift as an artist, but it is also a challenge.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the question. Back here.
Mary kind of already answered it. Thank you all for your hard work, but for the rest of you, how do you prepare to get in your character and the mindset before you start shooting? Thank you for your hard work, you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, the hardest work that we have to do is open the envelope, because the really hard work is done in the writer's room. And when a scene is well written, because characters are behaving the way human beings or Klingons would behave, with the whole inner workings of your mind and how no one ever really says what they truly mean, and everyone is always trying to manipulate each other or please someone else or contradict them or whatever. When the infrastructure of relationships is created as well as it is in a great script, you don't really have to do very much. The better actors that I've ever learned from and worked with do no preparation in some way. You learn your lines, but you make yourself completely free, because those younger actors who arrive with a performance that they practice perfectly in their bathroom mirror and would give the same performance if you dropped your pants or spontaneously combusted, they're never really alive. And so the really wonderful actors, I had a chance to work with everyone, but I did a lot of stuff with James. You bring nothing to it. You just let the scene unfold and you ride the wave of whatever the other person's doing. It's like an improvised dance, but the writers have done the hard work of working out the steps.
You're looking into each other's eyes at that moment and hopefully bouncing off of them. But you don't come totally blank. I mean, you've read it. I think that a lot of times really good writing goes into your unconscious, and if you just allow it to work back there without overworking it, it comes out. If you're working with an actor who is willing to work with you.
Present. Actually, Mary's talking about goofing off. If you get to visit a set, or they invite you, you're all invited to Discovery Season 3. I invite you all. When you go to a set, you often see actors just fucking around, and they look like kids, and you think, why are they taking it seriously? Whether it's this TV series or a movie, and the lights going, and everyone's very pressured, and the producer's shoulders right around their ears. I mean, actors are not really being infantile. What they're doing is doing their job, keeping themselves completely loose and open, and not taking none of that stress on board, so that we can play like kids. Because when kids play, they bring 100% of their imagination to bear. So I do not work at all.
He does. He does. He's just not calling it work.
Ken, what's your take on that question?
Bring yourself.
Well, I agree with Jason. But from a practical standpoint, yes, it starts with the writing, and these characters are built in a collaborative effort as far as the creature characters, you adding on the layers of the costumes, the wonderful costumes by Gersha, and then the interpretation from the prosthetic design from Neville and Glenn. And by the time it gets to you, the time you have your fitting, you have your scripts, you have a visual idea of what the character is, and you're figuring out how do I embody that. And for me, I often started with the voice from a practical standpoint to answer your question. So I was like, how does this character sound? And from that, the character kind of exploded, and each of my characters had a different sound to them. Cole and Cole Shaw had obviously a similar cadence because they're family, but I had to think, well, how is Tanavik different? And do I have to portray him based on Laurel and Vogue because he's the son of them? But then I thought about nature versus nurture, and he wasn't really raised by them, so I had the freedom to do something a little different. And I just, for that voice, I kind of held back a little bit, kept him more of a Zen Klingon monk character, and went from there. And then I kind of launched that character from there. And then, the director Doug chimed in on how he thought the character was, and it's just a massive collaborative effort.
You've got the language thing as well, that you can't be too spontaneous with, presumably. Unless you can improvise in Klingon, I don't know.
I have improvised every line.
He works very hard. It's amazing your voices that you come up with.
I mean, I do feel that, what I was saying before is pretty much my answer is, and, very similar to Ken. I definitely think the voice was a huge key, and finding that dialect once she was speaking English was very key. And I loved Tanavik in the sense that there was something that felt like the essence of Vogue and Laurel, and yet it was so uniquely this, Klingon that had lived, on his own. I think I already answered the question earlier.
He also was a lot nicer to you.
Yeah, I was very proud of my son. He is very... Mama! My boy! I was glad that Ken got to play a Klingon who I didn't hate.
Back here.
Hi. First of all, I think that particularly the four of you sitting on the stage right now are such an embodiment of the spirit of Star Trek in so many ways, and you've been such a gift to this fandom. So I was wondering what it has been like for you to be part of this fandom, coming to so many conventions now, and also the possibility of doing this for many more years to come, essentially, and because I'm probably gonna still be at your tables and annoy you 20 years from now, so.
That's a good problem to have.
Thank you, Sabrina. Yeah, Sabrina is an incredible person herself, so thank you for that. I'm trying not to cry, guys, but I've just been crying through this whole panel. It's such a gift. It's very beautiful because, we were here 3 years ago before anything had come out, and to be here for a third time and to have 2 seasons behind us is really, really incredible. And as I said before, it's such a platform, it's such a gift to embody something that I believe in. I hope it's a continued evolution, and I just really look forward to seeing what's to come, and I really appreciate that, and I've been very moved by that this week. I've had a lot of great, amazing interactions at the table with people who really have responded to the story overall, to Laurel and all of that, and it's very heartening. It's a gift as an actor to be able to speak to people from all around the world who have responded to your work, because that's not something we get every day. I can just say thank you to you and thank you to everybody for lifting us up.
It was such an unexpected blessing in my life to become part of this family, and all of you are so welcoming and friendly and down to earth. I also feel deeply privileged to be part of it. So I would be very happy if you showed up at a table at a convention in 20 years. We would have even more to reminisce about. But thank you for the welcoming arms of the Star Trek community.
And I feel very blessed to be a part of this family and to be in this environment that is about hope and just discovery and inclusiveness.
The thing is, there's some very dark things going on in the world at the moment, and this show, when it started, those many, many years ago, was put in the entertainment sphere, and it was a television show to make money, and there's actors in the sets and stuff, but it was born out of hope and rage and frustration and optimism and a desire to make a difference. If it's through storytelling, that's one way. It probably reaches people more powerfully and more profoundly than marching down the street, although that's useful too, and waving placards and brochures. And for all that there are people who are obsessed with a particular design of Mary's forehead or a phaser, it's actually more needed today than it certainly was. It's been through the generations since it started. It was born out of the civil rights movement, and right now there is a terrible racist running this country. At least there are divisions being sown across the world. There's a shift to populism to the right. It isn't a political show with a capital P, it's a political show with a small p. And it's such a privilege to be part of the community, not so that we can sign autographs or be somewhat notorious or famous, or not so that I can normalize two Romulans arriving very late, but because we have the capacity for change, and there's never been a more powerful medium than storytelling. These are great stories, and as different as they are, they're always the same thing. They're about tolerance and compassion and making the world and the people in it a better place and making a change. So that is an enormous privilege to be part of, and I'm still doing it in 20 years' time. I'll count myself very, very lucky. And Sabrina, you may or may not know, if you get to talk to her, has compiled a book of academic discussions of the various feminist theses, maybe correctly, on discovery. And then, is that accurate?
A lot of things, yeah. Feminism, gender studies, cultural studies, all these bits. They're all making me cry.
The thing is, the reason that you are able to do that with the help of your equally smart and fabulous collaborators is because as much as it's a fabulous fantasy, sci-fi, epic, drama, soap, whatever it is, it's something much more powerful than that too. That's why it engenders that kind of examination. And we are so thrilled to be part of not a famous TV show, but of a movement and a mission that has value in the world. Really.
Thank you. Got time for 2 more questions, right over here.
After that, this is going to seem really trivial, whatever it is. It should be about the boots, maybe.
It's not about boots, but my question is, what other projects outside of Star Trek Discovery have you worked on that have moved you in this way?
Well, here's my crazy answer. I have written an adaptation of Othello, Shakespeare's Othello, set in modern...
Sail in the foyer.
So it's using the original text, very cut down. I did an all-female version shortly after I got out of school where I played Iago as a man, and I was really intrigued by a lot of the themes that the character embodied. Speaking of gender studies, I realized there were a lot of ways in which I defined honesty and various aspects of myself because of my gender. And so I had this idea, what if Iago was a modern day woman, like a G.I. Jane, who had ingratiated herself in this male-dominated society? Shortly thereafter, I started playing the role, which was nice research. So I've adapted it into, it's a virtual reality miniseries that I'm producing with Juvie Productions, which is Viola Davis and Julius Tennant's production company, and we've done a proof of concept with Oculus, Facebook, their VR, which I believe we are collaborating with in the Star Trek world as well. So good on that. So we've had a proof of concept. We were in the Cannes XR arcade, and then we're headed to Raindance in London in the fall. And we're hoping that we'll get to do the full mini-series, about 17 parts as I've currently cut it. But I believe that thematically, there's all the cool tech stuff, and I kind of liken it to with Into the Spider-Verse, how there were so many cool technological advances there, but also the story was very forward-thinking, and we're doing color and gender-conscious casting as opposed to arbitrarily blind. Why is each character a woman or a different race, or like what does that say? Because the play is so innately about that, and there's plenty of arguments to be made about whether the play has validity in that regard, but I'm hoping that this adaptation will allow us to look at the way in which all minorities can be put in a position to tear each other down instead of rising up together and taking on the real racist that we should all be coming up against.
Think of examples that might take me too long to explain, but anytime I've been able to have the privilege to play a character that deeply touches someone's life personally. There's been a couple of times. Once when I played someone who had lived, and the family wrote to me and said, you know, how did you become her? You know, I show this movie to my children so that they will know their mother. I think that was probably the most moving thing ever said to me in all my acting. But anytime when I can touch someone, especially if they've had a tough time, and I've played something that helps them get through it.
So there's a couple, I don't know, when I started acting, it felt very, it still feels often very, very trivial and silly to do, and I felt like the only projects ever worth doing were ones that had a helpline number at the end, you know, and so I've done lots of things about subjects that I thought were powerful and important. But over the years I've realized that there's value even in things that seem less significant, like the Potter films, for instance.
Great value.
People come up all the time and say, I just want to leave and say thank you to you for being part of a world that saved me. And it seems kind of hyperbolic, and then they explain how in dark times or in lonely times or in difficult times, characters or the characters' dilemmas and their solutions have saved them, have been a life raft for them. The projects that stick out in my mind, I was in the first production of Angels in America. Nobody in this room is old enough to have seen it, but it's fun. And it was at a time when people were dying of AIDS everywhere and there was rampant homophobia. So that felt like and because it's called Angels in America, because of the National Theatre in England, lots of people had seasonal subscriptions, and they came in their velvet bow ties and thought they were coming to watch a musical or something, and were not prepared for 7 hours of gay sex on stage in front of them. But by the end, they were weeping and laughing and cheering, and I hope that we changed people's minds in some way. And there's a film called Hotel Mumbai that came out here last year, which is a film about thanks to one person, thanks Sabrina for saying that. Which is a film about a terrorist attack in Mumbai in 2008, where for 3 days the police and army couldn't enter a building, and the terrorists were trying to wipe out thousands of people, and the staff and the guests saved each other. And at that moment of maximum catastrophe, it just gives the light of what we're talking about, how selfish we are. All divisions evaporated, socioeconomic and religious and ethnic and gender, they just evaporated. People are essentially good and selfless, and acts of quiet courage saved almost everybody in the hotel. So that's something that feels powerful. But you know, the thing is, when you're inside the bubble, you make stories sometimes, and you meet survivors. I've done a couple, I've met all the survivors in Black Hawk Down, and that's, numbers of war films. So you feel like something is going to be powerful and important, but actually, it's just storytelling. Anytime you do it, there's a moment of truth on the screen. Even if it's picking your nose and wiping it on the bedpost, whatever it is, the fact that you're sitting in a big dark room, which is why I hope cinema doesn't die out, the fact you're sitting in a space with other people and acknowledging human behavior makes you feel less alone. So it's most manifest when you scream in a horror film or you laugh in a comedy, but even without noise, just being told the story with other people has magical powers to make us feel less alone. So frankly, it's everything we've ever done, because you don't know who's being touched by what.
Storytelling.
Take us out.
My favorite experience is Armageddon.
Make it quick.
I mean, if there's not time to answer the question, I just wanted to say that Discovery has inspired so many people, it's empowered so many people, it's brought us strength, it's brought us friendships, and because of that, I managed to face my fear of flying to be here this weekend to see you guys. So I just want to say that.
Where in Australia are you from? That's a joke only for English people. That's what they ask us all the time. Sorry.
Buckinghamshire is not a very nice part.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks. Give it up for Discovery.
And we are back again. My name is Heather Ferris, and I am your unofficial host, and I am here with Fred and Rocky. And what did you guys think about that panel?
It was very interesting. I in particular liked the questions about the Admiral and how she felt about her character basically dying in the second season and
spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah, if you haven't watched season 2, then,
just so you know.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry.
It's been a long day.
At least you haven't called it the Orville. But I love the Admiral. I really love the Admiral. She's another one of those characters that we lost, I think, a little tiny bit too early. But fascinating stories and great character.
Yeah.
Although, what did the actress that plays Laurel comment on about her personal hope as well? Maybe she was able to. The Klingons were able to.
Snoop in and beam her out? Yeah, at the last second before the torpedo goes off, that would be awesome. I doubt that happened, but I actually would think the character would want to do that too, because the Laurel and the Admiral Cornwell thing they had going on the ship.
Right.
That it was a connection. It was something special between two strong women characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny too when Mary said that in all of her costume and everything, she couldn't laugh. Did not laugh.
Yeah, that's a lot of costuming.
Was not supposed to laugh in her makeup.
And of course, what are you going to do? They're going to laugh.
They're going to laugh, so of course.
These are fun-loving people, and I love all these Klingon actors. So one of the guys came back as another Klingon. Is that what happened? Did I miss something?
Yeah, the other Klingon was
the guy with the big voice.
Yeah, he was the son of Ash Tyler.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So he was Volk's son.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I went by me probably so fast on that watch that I haven't even watched the second season second time yet. I've only gone through it once.
You haven't done it more than once?
Only the first season.
Oh my God.
Another thing
I am low on experience here, okay? If you want to talk about doing it only once.
Oh,
jeez.
Another thing to add to your list of things to watch, listen to, and read.
Yeah. Add it to my list. Good actors are so versatile. That guy does a badass voice. I mean, he was a great Klingon that just happened to get killed right away in the first season. Spoiler alert. To have him back in the second season, something else, I'm all for it. Bring him back, let him do stuff, put faces on him. That's a great thing about Star Trek is you see actors get reused in other ways, and I hope they continue this tradition because it's wonderful.
Yeah. Do you remember in one of the panels, one of the people were talking about if you're here. I mean, there's going to be spoiler alerts. Don't expect, don't expect there not to be spoiler alerts. You're here.
Yeah.
I also thought it was funny too when they were talking about the picture that they took of Mary and they were pretending to pick her nose and everything. I like that. I thought that was really funny. And also they were saying that Dorn and May are vegan Klingons. I thought that was funny.
That was interesting. I wouldn't have expected that.
Really?
Yeah.
I have to figure out how that works. It has to work honorably because they're Klingons.
Well, I think the actors
are the
Is that what it is? The actors are actually vegans?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think that's what they meant. Not that the characters.
I mean, I prefer a little meat once in a while, but
I think
triples. Thank you. On that note. We pretty much got that panel, right?
Yeah, we pretty much got that done. So we hope you enjoyed that panel. We hope you enjoyed this commentary. We're going to leave it on a high note. So please join us again for the next panel. We are looking forward to seeing you there.
Kapla!
Kapla!